Your grandfather earned less in a year than you spend in a month. He died with no debts and a paid-off house. He wasn't exceptional. He just understood something about money that nobody teaches anymore. That a shilling spent carelessly at 9 in the morning becomes 10 pence less by Friday. And he never ran out. Number 17 earned a retired miner in Barnsley an extra £4 a week in 1971. His neighbour never knew he was doing it. Number 9, his wife had been doing it since 1948 and never told a soul. No apps, no financial advisors, no products to buy. 20 methods worked out in kitchens and back gardens across Britain in decades when losing money meant going without. Let's count them down. Number 20, buying at the back of the market. She never bought from the front stall, not at the Saturday market, not at the greengrocer on Thursday afternoon. The front was for people who had not been paying attention. She walked to the back, past the stacked crates, past the men loading and unloading. She spoke to the stallholder directly, not the lad at the front taking money, the man who owned the stock and knew what would not sell by closing. A pound of tomatoes at the front cost 4p in 1962. At the back of the same stall, a full tray cost 6p, 8 times the amount. She carried them home in a string bag. The method was simple. Arrive late, speak to the owner, ask what they needed gone. This still works. Every market in Britain runs the same logic. What does not shift by 2 in the afternoon will not shift. The stallholder knows it. You just have to ask. Number 19, the envelope system. Friday evening, the wages on the kitchen table. 7 envelopes laid out in a row, each one labeled in pencil. Rent, coal, food, shoes, doctor, Christmas, spare. The notes counted out into each one before the kettle had finished boiling. The envelopes tucked into the tin kept on the shelf above the range. Done for the week. There were no direct debits, no standing orders, no bank taking money before she could see it go. The money inside each envelope was not available for anything else. The food envelope was for food. The coal envelope was for coal. If the food envelope ran low by Wednesday, she made the food stretch, not the envelope. The Christmas envelope was started in January and not touched until November. A woman in Coventry ran this system from 1951 to 1987. She never once went into debt. Banks now sell this idea back to you as a premium budgeting feature. She did it with 7 envelopes and a pencil. The principle has not changed. The psychology has not changed. Number 18, selling surplus from the garden. The allotment was not a hobby. It was a second income. He grew more than the family needed, not by accident, by calculation. Runner beans planted in double rows. Potato drills that ran twice the length required for the household. Marrows left to swell past the point the family wanted them, because a marrow that size would fetch more. The surplus went to the corner shop on consignment. A box of tomatoes left on a Tuesday, paid for on Friday if they sold. They always sold. A retired railway man in Doncaster was clearing an extra 30 shillings a month by 1968. Doing nothing but leaving boxes at the back of the greengrocer's on his way to his daughter's house. He never called it a business. It was just the garden. The allotment waiting list in Britain is currently the longest it has been since 1945. The people joining it do not always know why they want one, but the instinct is correct. Number 17, buying damaged goods and repairing them. Harold Baines was a retired miner from Barnsley. He brought home an extra £4 a week in 1971, and his neighbour never knew where it came from. Every Wednesday morning he went to the auction house on Waterloo Road, not as a dealer, as a man who could fix things. A chest of drawers with a broken runner, a leather chair with a split arm, a clock that had stopped, each one hammered down for next to nothing because the room full of people without the skill to repair it decided the damage made it worthless. Harold had the skill. He had been watching his father repair furniture since he was 7 years old in a back street off Barnsley Market. A chest of drawers that cost 1 shilling and 6p at auction in Huddersfield in 1963 was resold 3 weeks later for 14 shillings after a new runner was fitted from a length of hardwood bought at the timber yard for 2p. The same logic applies to every car boot sale, every charity shop, every online auction platform running today. Damaged is not broken. Repairable is not worthless. The skill is the asset. He knew it. We forgot. Number 16, never paying asking price. She asked, every time. This was not haggling in the way films show it. No theatrical back and forth. No performance. She would look at the price ticket on the second-hand coat. She would look at the woman behind the counter. She would say quietly, "Is there anything you can do?" That was it. That was the whole technique. She knew this from 40 years of asking, not from a survey. From the answer she got at the hardware shop and the fabric stall, and the shoe repairer, and the market, and the second-hand furniture man on Jubilee Street. The coat was 12 shillings. She paid 9. She wore it for 6 years. She asked the same question at the hardware shop, the fabric store, the shoe repairer, and the second-hand furniture man. Sometimes the answer was no. She thanked them and paid or walked away. The answer was yes more often than the people who never asked would have believed. Number 15, reading the trade papers. He subscribed to 2 newspapers, one general, one trade. The trade paper was specific to his industry, printing in his case, but the principle worked in any line. Trade papers listed surplus stock sales, equipment auctions, government tender notices, and job advertisements before they appeared anywhere else. A printing press listed in the trade paper on a Tuesday morning would be common knowledge by Thursday. On Tuesday morning, only the readers knew. He bought a second-hand guillotine press in 1971 for £40 from a closing printworks listed in the trade circular. He hired it out to a small stationery firm for £3 a week for 4 years. Then he sold it for £55. The trade paper cost him 1 shilling and 3p a week. It earned him more per shilling than any other expenditure he ever made. Trade publications still exist. Industry newsletters still carry information that never reaches the general press. The readers of those publications still move first. That has not changed. Number 14. Making things last twice as long. She turned the collar. When the collar of his work shirt wore thin at the front, as collars did from rubbing against the neck, she unpicked it, turned it 180 degrees, and sewed it back. The unworn underside became the outside. The shirt lasted another 2 years. She did the same with cuffs. Sheets were cut down the middle and resewn, outside edges to the center, where the wear was least. Curtains were relined. Shoes were resoled. The shoe repairer on the high street in Bolton was visited more regularly than the shoe shop in 1958. A new pair of shoes cost 12 shillings. A resole cost 1 and 6. The repair economy was not a niche preference. It was the default. It is not nostalgia to point out that a pair of decent leather shoes, resoled twice a year, will outlast 4 pairs of their modern equivalent. It is arithmetic. Number 13. The second-hand first rule. Nothing was bought new if it could be bought used. Not furniture, not tools, not clothes for growing children who would be out of them in 8 months. Not bicycles, not kitchenware, not books. The jumble sale on a Saturday morning was the first port of call, then the pawn shop if the jumble had nothing useful, then the catalogue, last resort because the catalogue charged interest. A child's coat bought new at C&A in 1965 cost 14 shillings. The same coat, worn once by a child in Salford who had grown out of it, cost 3p at the church jumble. She bought the 3p coat. She spent the 14 shillings on something that could not be bought second-hand. The logic has not softened with time. It has sharpened. Second-hand markets are larger now than at any point in British history. The supply is enormous. The prices are still lower than new. The quality of older goods is frequently higher. She knew this. She was not ashamed of it. She was correct. Stop the count for a moment. Every trick listed so far has one thing underneath it. One principle that none of your grandparents needed to articulate because it was so obvious it did not require a name. They knew the difference between price and value. Price is the number on the ticket. Value is what the thing is worth to you for how long and what it costs per year of use. A coat at 3p worn for 4 years cost less per year than a coat at 14 shillings worn for 8 months. She did not need a spreadsheet. She did the arithmetic in her head before she put her hand in her purse. The food industry, the fashion industry, and the financial industry have spent 70 years trying to separate you from that instinct. Not because it is complicated, because it is inconvenient to them. Your grandmother's kitchen was not run on sentiment. It was run on arithmetic. If this is making you think you never asked her enough questions, you are not alone. Subscribe. There are more of these every week. Number 12 is where the real money starts. Number 12. Bartering skills, not money. He could fix electrics, not complicated work, rewiring a plug, replacing a fuse box. The kind of work that in 1969 cost a tradesman's call-out fee of 3 shillings and 6p. The man 3 doors down was a plumber. They never invoiced each other. The electrician fixed the plumber's kitchen lights in February. The plumber sorted the electrician's outside tap in April. Neither transaction appeared in any ledger. Neither man paid a penny to the other. This arrangement extended to the woman on the corner who did alterations, the retired joiner who repaired window frames, and the woman whose husband worked at the bakery and occasionally had unsold loaves at the end of Saturday. These were not formal arrangements. There were no contracts. There was only the quiet understanding that a skill has value, and value can be exchanged without money passing between hands. The arrangement still runs on every street where neighbours know each other well enough to ask. Nothing has changed except the name. Your grandfather did not know the phrase time banking. He called it being a good neighbour. Number 11. Using the library as a business tool. Thursday evening. He came in from work, hung his coat on the hook in the hall, picked it straight back up again, and walked to the Carnegie Library on the High Street. He was there before 6. He was there until closing. He sat at the reference desk with the trade almanac open in front of him and a piece of paper folded in his breast pocket for notes. The library was not for novels, not on a Thursday. On a Thursday it was for the business directories, the bound copies of Which magazine, and the local newspaper archive. Before he bought any piece of equipment second-hand, he looked up the original retail price, the common faults, and the expected lifespan. Before he accepted any contract for work, he found the going rate from the trade directories. Information was scarce in 1964. A man with access to the right reference books had an advantage over a man without. The library gave that access to anyone who walked through the door. The library is still open. The archive is now partly digital. The principle is identical. Free information is available to anyone who knows where to look and takes the time to look properly. Few bother. That gap between those who research and those who guess is exactly as wide now as it was in 1964. Number 10. Growing your own and preserving it. August was the busy month, not for holidays, for bottling. The plum tree in the back garden, the runner beans along the fence, the blackberries from the lane at the end of the estate. All of it picked, processed, and stored before September. Kilner jars lined the pantry shelf from September to April. Plums in syrup, runner beans in salt, blackberry jam in wax paper sealed pots, pickled onions, chutney made from windfall apples that nobody would have bought from a stall. She spent 4 days in August and ate for free from that pantry until spring. A jar of Baxter's blackcurrant jam costs £1.89 today. She made 14 jars for the cost of a bag of sugar and the afternoon. The bottling equipment, the Kilner jars, and the large preserving pan cost money once. They last for decades. She bought her first set of jars in 1953 for 4 shillings. She was still using them in 1981. Number 9. Keeping meticulous records. She kept a book, not a diary, a ledger, small, green-covered, bought for 2p from Woolworths in 1948 and used until every page was full. Every expenditure entered in pencil, date, item, amount, every income noted, every bill paid confirmed with a tick. Every quarter she would go back through the previous quarter and look at where the money had gone. She found patterns that surprised her every single time. The corner shop on Tuesdays was costing her more than the main market. The coal merchant she had been using since 1951 was now 4p a bag more than the one on Marsh Lane. She changed the coal merchant. She stopped using the corner shop on Tuesdays. She saved 9 shillings in the following month without reducing anything she bought. The information was in the book. It had always been in the book. She just had to read it. Financial apps now do this automatically. The data they collect is identical to the data she wrote in pencil. The difference is that she read hers. Number 8. Buying in bulk with neighbours. Flour came in stone weights at the mill, 14 pounds at a time. More than one household could use before it turned. She and the woman next door bought together. 1 stone of flour split 2 ways. A sack of coal split 3 ways between 3 houses on the terrace. The price per unit dropped because the bulk price dropped. The cost of a sack of McPherson's plain flour in 1955 was 1 shilling and 9p for a stone. Split between 2 households, each paid 10p halfpenny. The corner shop sold it by the pound for 2p. A stone in the corner shop would have cost 2 shillings and 4p. She saved 7p on flour alone every fortnight. The arithmetic has not changed. The barrier is only organization and trust. She had both. Number 7. Knowing when the price drops. The fishmonger on Coronation Street in Grimsby marked everything down at 4:30 on a Saturday. She knew this because she had watched for 3 Saturdays in 1957 and noted when the price tickets changed. She was not the only one who knew. But she arrived at 4:25. The rest arrived at 5 to 5. The best fish was gone by 20 past. This was not luck. It was observation, applied consistently. Every retailer has a markdown pattern. The supermarkets run it on timers now. Different categories on different days at different hours. The man at the charity shop puts the new donations out on a Tuesday morning. The butcher discounts the remaining joints on a Saturday at 3. She knew the patterns of every shop she used within walking distance. She had mapped them across years of paying attention. Attention is free. She spent it like currency. Stop the count again. We are halfway through this list, and there is something that needs to be said before we continue. Every trick on this list so far has been free to use. Not cheap, free, no subscription, no upfront investment, no app to download. The tools were observation, patience, arithmetic, and the willingness to do what those around them could not be bothered to do. That last part is the one that gets overlooked. She was not smarter than her neighbors. She was not better educated. In most cases, she left school at 14 and had no formal training in anything she did. What she had was the understanding that the difference between managing and not managing was almost never about how much money came in. It was about how carefully it was handled on the way out. The food industry spends £4 billion a year in the United Kingdom marketing convenience. The financial industry spends another £2 billion marketing products designed to manage the money you spend on convenience. Both industries profit from the same gap, the gap between what your grandmother knew and what they have convinced you to forget. Subscribe if any of this sounds familiar. There are 7 more on this list. Number 3. 3 is the one half remembered and then dismissed as old-fashioned. It is not. Number 6, selling skills, not just labor. He worked at the steelworks, 5 days a week, 6 in the busy months. On Saturday mornings, he sharpened knives, not at a market stall, from his doorstep. A handwritten card in the window of the corner shop. Knives and scissors sharpened, 3p each, Saturdays only, 14 Beach Terrace. He had a grinding wheel in the back shed that cost him 4 shillings second-hand in 1953. By 1961, he was seeing 12 customers a Saturday, 3 shillings clear after the stone cost, an extra 6 shillings a fortnight. He was not selling his time as an unskilled worker. He was selling a specific skill that the street did not have and could not easily get elsewhere. That distinction matters. The gig economy did not invent the idea of selling a skill at the door. It did not improve on it. It inserted a platform between the seller and the buyer and took a percentage. He kept the percentage. Number 5, understanding compound savings. Every Monday morning, she walked to the post office on Medlock Street with 6p in her coat pocket. She handed it over the counter, took the stamped book back, put it in her bag, and walked home. The whole thing took 8 minutes. She did it every week from January 1955. She was not putting 6p by because 6p would make her rich, because the habit would. By January 1965, the account held £22, 4 shillings, and 6p, more than the 6p alone would have added to, because the post office paid interest and she had never once withdrawn. She called it putting something by. The phrase is shorter than compound interest and means exactly the same thing. She made it hard to get to. That was the trick. The money was in the post office account and not in her purse, and going to get it required a deliberate journey she could not be bothered to make on a whim. The inconvenience was not an accident. It was the whole system. Number 4, using waste as resource. The dripping from Sunday's joint went into a white ceramic pot kept to the left of the range. She spread it on toast. She fried in it. She used it to waterproof his work boots. She gave a pot of it to the woman next door who was low on fats that week. The bones from the same joint went into the stock pot on Monday morning. By Wednesday, the stock was strained and cooling in the pantry. It flavored Friday's soup. The fat from a pound of streaky bacon, 1961, cost 1 shilling for the rasher and produced a second ingredient at no additional cost. Every joint, every roast, every piece of bacon produced a byproduct. She treated every byproduct as an ingredient. Dripping on toast with salt was not poverty food. It was clever food. It was the recognition that a thing purchased has more uses than the obvious one, and that the second use costs nothing. Nothing left her kitchen that had not been used to exhaustion. She did not call it zero waste. She called it sense. Every generation before her had called it the same thing, under different names, in different kitchens, in different decades, and they had all been right. Number 3, teaching children to earn, not receive. Saturday morning, the boy at the front path with a hand trowel, pulling weeds from between the flagstones. She watched from the kitchen window, not because she did not trust him to do it, but because she wanted him to know she had seen it done. When he came in, she counted a penny into his palm without comment. He had worked, she had paid. That was the arrangement. Pocket money was conditional, not on behavior, on work. A penny for weeding the front path, 2p for cleaning windows, 3p for running errands to the chemist and back. She did not give money, she exchanged it. This was not harshness, it was instruction. The child who earned the 2p understood what 2p meant in a way the child who was handed it could not. The earned coin was spent differently, more slowly, with more thought. By the time he was 12, he had started charging the neighbours a halfpenny for the same errands he ran for free at 7. She found out and said nothing. He had understood the lesson faster than she expected. Earnings were tracked. A small notebook, his own, kept in the drawer beside his bed. He knew at any point what he had, what it had cost him to earn it, and what he was saving toward. He was 12. He was already better with money than the adults around him, because someone had taught him that money was something you learned, not something that happened to you. Number 2, multiple small incomes. No single side income was large enough to notice on its own. Together they were substantial. She took in mending, 2 evenings a week by the window, while the wireless played. Hems, patches, buttons, zip replacements. She charged 4p for a hem in 1959, 6p for a zip. She earned an extra 5 or 6 shillings a fortnight without leaving the chair she was already sitting in. He did small clearances. When someone on the street died and the family needed a house emptied, he offered to take the contents for nothing. He cleared the house. He sold what was sellable. He kept the rest or gave it away. He asked for nothing and received items worth far more. She kept hens in the backyard. 4 hens. She did not need 4 hens worth of eggs. She sold the surplus to 3 houses on the street at 2p for 6. None of these incomes was a career. None required a business plan or a registered company. Each was simply an extension of something she already did, connected to someone who needed it done. The phrase multiple income streams now sells online courses for £299. The course teaches what she already knew at 32 from a chair by the window in 1959 with a needle and thread and 4 hens in the backyard. She was doing it in 1959 from a chair by the window, and she was not charging anyone £299 for the information. Number 1. The quiet accounting at the end of the week. Sunday evening, after tea, after the children were in bed, he sat at the kitchen table with the week's receipts. Not complicated receipts, torn corners of paper bags, pencil marked with what he had spent and where. The week's wages laid out in order, what came in, what went out, what remained. He did this every Sunday without fail from 1947 until 1983. 36 years of Sunday evenings at that table. He never called it a budget review. He never called it anything. He poured a cup of tea, sat down, and looked at the week. If the numbers were short, he knew why. If the numbers were ahead, he knew by how much. He was never surprised by what his money had done. Not once in 36 years. The surprises, the boiler breaking, the shoe that needed resoling, the winter that came earlier than expected, he had already planned for, because the Sunday accounting told him each week whether the buffer was holding. He died in 1987 with no debts, a paid-off house, a savings account that kept his wife comfortable for 19 years after he was gone. He left no financial advice behind, no notebook of wisdom, nothing written down, only the habit, passed quietly to his son, who passed it to his daughter, who still sits at her own kitchen table on a Sunday evening with a cup of tea and the week laid out in front of her. That is not nostalgia. That is the record of how things were done. Try one this week, just one. Keep a record of what you spend for 7 days. Write it on paper, not a screen. See what you find. Then tell me in the comments which one your nan or granddad did. I want to know. Which one did you watch without knowing you were watching? Which one did you only recognize just now as something that had a name? Share this with someone who would have asked more questions if they had known there were questions to ask. And subscribe. There are more of these. Every week, they new things. We can learn them again.